Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. So for today's video, I wanted to film my everyday makeup routine, but I thought I would do a little Q&A over the top of it, little chance for you guys to get to know me a little bit better. And I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted to find out, and you had some interesting questions, so I'm hoping I got around to answer as many as I could. I know we're talking fillers, Joe, marriage, kids, it's all going on in this video while watching me do my makeup, which was a bit of a task, because multitasking and doing it all together was interesting. But if you would like to see how I created this makeup look and this hair, my get ready with me for an everyday look, then please keep watching. So I'm just going to start off with moisturiser. For this, I'm using the Ole Henriksen Sea Rush Brightening Double Cream. This one is one of my favourite ones. I've said this so many times before in other makeup tutorials. It's such a good moisturiser to use when you're doing your makeup, as it really does double up as such a good primer. Okay, so I'm going to go straight in with a question. So the first question I'm going to answer is one that was requested quite a lot, and it's all about fillers. So it's like, what fillers have you had done? Why did you get your fillers removed? All that kind of stuff. So as you know, because I did mention in one of my videos, beginning of last year I think it was, so I got my top lip dissolved because I got really ill and I got tonsillitis, and for some very bizarre reason my top lip swelled up. Don't ask. I don't understand how it happened, it was really weird. Anyway, it just did not go back down and I looked so lopsided. So I decided to get my top lip dissolved, and I loved it so much, but it needed just a little bit more shape, so I went and had a bit of filler put in it about 4 months ago, not too much. But as you can see here, my bottom lip is actually a little bit wonky from where I had it done I haven't had anything on my bottom lip now for almost 2 years. And yeah, I don't like the way that it's wonky. It needs to be dissolved. So I'm going to get this side especially dissolved because it makes my lip look like it's drooping downwards. That being said, anyway, otherwise I'm never going to put foundation on my face. So I'm just going to put on some concealer. So I'm going to use the Born This Way concealer. So this one is in Taffy. I basically just put a bit of this on around my nose and kind of like in the places where it's a little bit like discoloured. So that's basically where I put it. I'm just going to blend that in with a beauty blender. So yeah, so with that being said, I'm just so against fillers now, like I really am, just because I feel like especially since I stopped having fillers, I personally think my face looks so much better. So I stopped having jaw fillers over 2 years ago now, so it's basically all dissolved because it just disappears over time. So I stopped having jaw filler 2 years ago. I stopped having cheek filler over 2 years ago now. Facial contouring I stopped, just everything, because I feel like I was getting obsessed with it and I was having too much. Then actually it was making my face look puffy. It didn't actually make it look better, it just looked puffy. It was really weird. So yeah, so I basically stopped. So in the answer to the question, I know that was a really long-winded question, is that no, I don't really have filler anymore. I'm actually looking to have my bottom lip dissolved, and all I have now is I have baby Botox. So I have baby Botox in my forehead, and I have Botox, like a little brow lift occasionally. Would probably have that done every 6 months. So I'm more of like, I have Botox now more than I do have filler. But no, it is quite funny because I never thought I would ever be the sort of person to not want to have filler, but it really, I mean, my whole opinion on filler is just so changed. So anyway, so while I'm chatting, I'm just going to fill my eyebrows in. So I'm using the Precisely My Brow Benefit Pencil in shade 3. For an everyday look, I don't actually like line along the bottom. I basically just go through and just fill in where my eyebrow is like at its thinnest. And I really like, especially since having my eyebrows laminated, I really like keeping them looking really full and bushy. This shade is perfect if you're blonde as well, by the way, guys. Shade 3. It's really, really good. Sort of just like a real neutral kind of middle of the way tone. So that is about as much as I do to my eyebrow. As you can see, I'm not going along the edge and like really defining it. I like to keep it as natural as possible. Right, I'll get another question up while I fill in that other eyebrow. So one of the other questions that was quite popular was, how is London life treating you? So if you guys have followed me for a while, you will know that Joe and I moved to London. It was about February last year. So I used to live just outside of London and have always lived there, commuted into London all the time, like just got the train up, and it was quite easy for me. I had this really lovely 4-bedroom house I lived in. It was amazing. I had so much room, so much space. But obviously when I met Joe, you've got to make compromises. And so Joe's business is based in London and he used to live in Hong Kong. So when he moved over to England and we started dating, he really wanted to basically be part of the whole like London lifestyle. And I had nothing against it. I was, you know, like most people, I wanted to live in London at some point in my life. I think it's a really good thing to do, especially when you're young. I maybe didn't want to live in London by myself, because obviously London can be quite a lonely place because it's so fast paced and busy. So I never thought of doing it on my own. So when Joe did say, would you consider moving to London with me? I was like, yeah, really, really keen to do it. Now, the London lifestyle that we have is absolutely amazing. We're very central where we live. So we're just outside of zone 1. We can just hop on the tube, which is literally across the road. It's like a 40-second walk to the tube. So the ease of life up here has just been amazing. The only massive downside is that when we moved up here, I had to drastically downsize. So I went from a 4-bedroom house to a very small 2-bedroom flat, mainly because we live so central. So we're paying a crazy amount of rent and we're not living somewhere that big, which is kind of painful, I must say, especially because after living here for a year, I've massively realised that this place does not work for us. It's too small. You know, going from a 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom flat just doesn't work. And I just need so much more space. So, you know, as much as we love where we live, in the sense of we're so central, we're going to move at the end of this year. I'm going to buy somewhere in London, I think. That's kind of like my goal for the end of this year, is to buy in London. But I would like to move maybe somewhere not so central, so a lot further out, but still, you know, with a tube within maybe walking distance, maybe like a 15-minute walk away, something like that. We just like somewhere with a bit more character, I suppose, you know, with like local pubs and, you know, just that kind of vibe. And maybe like with a park nearby that we can go for a walk in on like a Sunday. But moving to London's been amazing and I don't regret it at all, because it's just so amazing being here and for work. And it's just so nice to be able to, I mean, we go on date nights almost every single night of the week, as you guys will know if you follow me on Instagram. We are always going out for dinner because it's just so easy. There's so many different restaurants here, and so I really love the social side of the life that we've got here in London. But yeah, it's just the apartment size and the kind of like logistics that have come with that been a little bit of a, they've been an interesting one, should we say. So I'm going to move on to foundation. So I use the Anastasia Luminous Foundation. This is in shade 330W. Such a good foundation. Coverage of this is amazing. And to apply this, I'm just going to use a beauty blender. So one of the questions that popped up a lot was, do I prefer my hair short or with extensions? And oh my God, I cannot express to you how much more I prefer my hair without extensions, for so many reasons. I mean, number one, the ease is just crazy. I mean, even now, I mean, it's shoved up on my head so I can do this makeup tutorial, but it doesn't, you know, doing buns with short hair is so much easier. You don't have to worry about your extensions being seen when you put your hair up and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously the other reason why I'm so preferring it is, it goes without saying just how much better for my hair I feel like it is. It's just like I can put hair masks on my hair properly, and I'm using so much less heat on it. So much less heat, because of the length that it is at the moment. When I kind of wake up in the morning, it requires such minimal styling because it doesn't really change overnight, if that makes sense. I feel like my hair without extensions at the moment, the length of it especially, is quite on trend right now. Like having shorter hair, I find I like the way it looks with some of my outfits. It looks a lot cooler than when it was longer. Personally, that's just like a personal preference for myself and like my styling. Yeah, so I'm massively preferring my short hair. So I'm going to move on to concealer next. For this, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This one is my favourite. So this one is shade Almond, and I'm just going to pop this under my eyes. So one of the other questions that I've been asked is about surgery that I might have had done. So as you guys know, I've had a boob job. I had that done when I was, I think I was 18. I must have been. It was a long time ago. Yeah, so I had a boob job and I filmed it all for my YouTube, so it is on my YouTube if you're interested in watching it. It was one of the best things I ever did. I have no regrets about getting a boob job at all. It really was just, yeah, I got so much confidence from getting it done, and I would recommend it to anyone. You know, I'm not sitting here trying to encourage cosmetic surgery. That's of course not what I'm saying. But if it's something that you are actually, you know, thinking about and it's something that you've been considering, I would just say go for it, because it honestly just changed my life. I got so much confidence and I feel so amazing with my boobs, like I really do. But no, that's the only surgery that I've ever had. And would I ever consider getting anything else? Probably not, because there's nothing else I would want to have done. So one of the other questions that I've been asked is, where is my favourite holiday destination and why? So my favourite place in the whole entire world is Bali. I am completely obsessed with it. Last year I actually went twice in 1 year. I'm that obsessed with it. It's just got such an amazing vibe to it. It really does. I just feel like the people are so friendly. It's not that expensive when you're actually there. I mean, obviously flights for us from England can be quite pricey, but once you're there, it's so cheap, really. You can get such nice villas and things for no cost at all. And yeah, I don't know, it's just something about the vibe of Bali that I'm just obsessed with. So once I've done my concealer and foundation, I'm gonna set my face. And for this, I'm using the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. And I'm using one of their powder puffs. So I'm absolutely loving a matte makeup look at the moment. So I basically just put the powder all over my face and just set everything. So one of the other questions I got is, are you and Joe gonna start having kids anytime soon? And what star sign is Joe? So are we gonna have kids anytime soon? No. I am not very broody. I never have been. I will have kids one day, but it doesn't appeal to me at the moment. I am 25. And I don't think I would like to have them until I'm about 30. I'm extremely career driven, like really career driven. Right now, kids just are not something that I would want, but I definitely do see myself having a family in future. And luckily Joe is also very similar minded to me. He's got no interest in having kids anytime soon. So yeah, no mini Sarahs running around anytime soon, guys. And then Joe's star sign is, he's a Libra, which I actually don't know too much about, which is weird because I do know a lot about star signs and I love star signs, but I don't know that much about a Libra. I really should learn. I feel like I should know more about it, but I feel like maybe I haven't looked into it because I'm worried that they'd say that I'm a Cancer, and would be worried that they say that a Cancer and a Libra don't go together, and I'd be like, but we seem hella compatible, so I'm not worrying. So for my under eyes, I'm just going to use the translucent setting powder, but I'm going to put it on this mini beauty blender and just set all of that. One of the questions that came up a lot when I asked you guys to ask me some questions was, of course, how I got to be doing what I'm doing, you know, influencer career, how I got to where I am today. I'm gonna try and give you a short version because it is a long story. I will have been doing this for 7 years in September, which is crazy to me. So short story is, I didn't go to uni. I've never been academically clever, never really, you know, I liked school, but I didn't enjoy the learning side of it. I think it was because I just wasn't that academically clever. So I knew that uni wasn't going to be the place for me. And so when I left college, I went to the Fashion Retail Academy in London. And at the time they did a course called a level 3 diploma in fashion retail, which was a mixture of everything. So it was like a bit of styling, buying, PR, visual merchandising. It was kind of everything in fashion. So you could, by the time you left, you could decide what you wanted to do. So I was like, great, gonna do the course. It was only a year, so it was a great kind of amount of time. So when I left there, I wanted a job in PR. And I went to so many job interviews and they were like, do you have a blog? And this was when blogging and influencing wasn't even a thing, really. It was just starting and I'd never read a blog in my life. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna start one. So yeah, so long and short of it is, I started thatpomegirl.com, which was just a website for me to upload the outfits that I wore every day. But it was more just to get myself a job, you know? It wasn't something that I was wanting to become anything. And I still to this day put that down to the success I've had behind it, is because I wasn't trying too hard, because I didn't see it turning into a job, it just happened, if that makes sense. So yeah, and then over the time I started earning money from it because my Instagram started to grow. I remember I got to like 200,000 followers and someone asked me how much I charged for a post, and I was like, you can make money out of this? Like, it was really weird. And as I said, like, I was at 200,000 followers and people weren't charging for posts back in the day. So now I think girls charge when they've got like 10,000 followers, which is amazing that that's what you can do now. So yeah, and then I just grew over Instagram. Basically, here we are today. I mean, I wish there was more I could say about it, and I wish there was a real formula that I could say to you exactly how I got to where I am, but really it's just happened over time and I don't even know how I got here. I'm so blessed and I feel so unbelievably lucky to be doing what I'm doing. But that is literally the long and the short of it. Was I wanted to work in fashion PR, so I started a blog And yeah, it turned into this, which is great. So with that being said, my advice behind it and sort of like, oh, by the way, I'm going to move on to bronzer now, and I'm using the Too Faced Natural Lust Bronzer. This is my favourite one, and I'm using this double-ended brush. This is Huda Beauty Face Bacon Blend. So when I first started out, I was very sort of, once I realised there was something in it, you know, and I was starting to grow an Instagram following, I was like, okay, I need to put some real kind of thought into this. And I started really only wearing brands that were actively, you know, working with influencers, actively sort of posting them on their Instagrams. And back in the day, that was misguided. They worked so heavily with bloggers in the beginning, and, you know, much like they do now, but they were very, very influencer focused back in the day. I also used to work a lot with ASOS. When they first started working with influencers, they had this little thing called Access All ASOS, which I was accepted into, I think it was about a year and a half after I started blogging. And that was amazing because you used to get invited up to the ASOS headquarters, and you could like meet the team, and you would get gifted all these sort of ASOS clothing. And I did a lot of different filming for them back in the day. And I went to the ASOS warehouse where all your clothes are sent from, which was amazing. It was like Monsters Inc. So yeah, I think it was just a case of being quite savvy and working with people that I then knew would kind of build my brand and help me to, you know, grow. So that's what I would say would be my advice if you're looking to start an influencing career, or, you know, you want to kind of do something along these kind of lines, is do it, you know, be doing it for the right reasons. Do it because you really love it. Don't just do it because you want free things, or you are desperate to have an Instagram following, or you want to be famous. Like, I feel like there are so many bad reasons why you can get into this industry, but I feel like when you have a real passion for something, it's amazing when that does turn into a job. And I also feel like, you know, that's how you will actually end up doing quite well, because passion really does shine through when you actually do genuinely love what you do. Don't be afraid to start. Just do it. I mean, I know sometimes when you put yourself out there, and for example, like when you're doing pictures on Instagram, you might be worried about what other people might think of you, or, you know, you might have friends that think it's slightly cringe that you're now doing outfit posts. But if you really want to do it, and, you know, it makes you happy and that you're really enjoying doing it, then it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Sorry, I feel like when you try and give advice on these things, you end up sounding like Oprah, and I don't want to sound like preachy or condescending or anything like that, but it is true. I think it's really just as simple as doing it because you love it, not caring what anyone else thinks, and just really putting yourself out there, because you're not going to know what can happen unless you try. So I've been warming my face up quite a bit recently because I've got a bit of a natural tan. So I've been using the bronzing powder by Bobbi Brown. This one is in Golden Light, and I'm going to use, so it's this kind of colour, it's really good. And I'm going to use a Spectrum brush. This is a BO2 brush, and just add a little bit more bronze to my face. Any goals you have set for yourself this year? So as I said earlier, my biggest goal for 2020 is to buy a house in London at the end of the year, which I think is quite a big goal. So I'm going to aim for that one, and just kind of save as much as I can around it, because I want to get something that is a little bit of a project, something that I can put my own stamp on. I want to do a bit of a renovation kind of thing. And then any other goals, I suppose SLA is my main focus, because it really has just become such a passion project for me. Since starting it, I've realised how just obsessed with it I am, and how I love designing clothing, and, you know, having something that's my own and working towards something is just so exciting. So as I said, we do have some new collections coming out, and I'm so excited about them because they are a lot more, I don't know, a lot more designed. I suppose that would be the way I would describe them, because at the moment, obviously, we do very simple basics, which I love, and we won't ever stop doing them because I love them. But we're going for a much more sort of like a vintage feel. So I'm kind of, my goal for SLA is to create a sort of vintage but new feel. So, you know, vintage t-shirts, but there's more than just one of them. So that's my goal for SLA as a whole, as a brand. So yes, a lot more sort of like oversized things coming. As basically what I create for SLA is just stuff I can't find in real life. So yeah, so that's my two goals really, is to buy a house and just really, really focus on SLA. So next question on here is, would you like to get married, and where would your honeymoon be? So yes, I would love to get married. I love the idea of being a wife. It does actually excite me. So we will definitely get married, and I will marry Joe. I know I will. You know when you just know. You know when you know. And then honeymoon, I would love, oh by the way, I'm sort of doing this, not actually telling what I'm doing. I'm putting on blusher. I'm using the Kevin Aquan, I really hope I'm saying that right, blusher. This is this amazing ombre blush. It's so pretty. I'm literally obsessed with it at the moment. And I'm using this Make Me Blush brush from Beauty Bay. So as I was saying, honeymoon, I would love to go to Bora Bora. That would be like a dream destination for a honeymoon. Mainly because I've never been there. It has not been somewhere that I've travelled to with work. And I think when you go on your honeymoon, it would be really nice to go somewhere that's quite special, that you haven't necessarily been to, you know, and something that you can experience together, both of you, for the first time. So next up after blush, I'm just going to use this fluffy blending brush. This is a Morphe Jeffree Star brush. I'm going to use some of that Bobbi Brown bronzer, and I'm just going to go into my crease just to give my eyes a little bit of definition. The next question is, where do you get your outfit fashion inspiration from? So actually recently, I've been getting a lot of my inspiration from Pinterest. It's a little bit like it's a mixture of Tumblr and Instagram when it comes to fashion inspiration. I used to be obsessed with Tumblr, like obsessed with it. That was where I used to get all my fashion inspiration from. But yeah, I would say I spend a lot of time on Pinterest at the moment. I'm also just going to bring this brush down the side of my nose just to give my nose a little bit of a contour. But yeah, and then I'm absolutely living for, much like everyone else I think at the moment, Hailey Baldwin, Hailey Bieber, whatever you want to call her style. I just think she is so effortless, and she just looks so cool all the time. I'm using this eyeshadow palette. This is a Morphe one. I'm just going to use a dark brown colour. You can literally use any dark brown eyeshadow that you might have, and an angled liner brush, and I'm just going to line the outer corner of my lashes. This is just because I don't want to use any liner, but I just want to get a little bit of definition on that outer corner. So yeah, I just do about that much. Right, another question. Speaking about SLA, and I have actually had someone say, what does SLA stand for? So SLA is my initial, so my middle name is Louise, so Sarah Louise Ashcroft. I was struggling so hard to name my brand, much like anyone, if you have your own thing, whether it's a brand or anything, business, doesn't even need to be a fashion label, trying to find a name is the hardest part. Like, it actually is so hard. I went through so many names before I came up with SLA, and but it's funny because once you've named your company, it becomes such the name that you don't even think about all the other names you were going to call it. It just is what it is, if that makes sense. So before I put my lashes on, I'm just going to apply a little bit of mascara. I'm using the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara for this. So my lashes for an everyday look, they change pretty much every day. I sort of just put on whatever is in front of me, or whether I, you know, picked up new lashes recently and I want to try them out. But at the moment, I am loving. I actually used a variation of these in my Instagram glam video, which I uploaded the other day. And so these are the Iconic Mini. So I used the Iconic Luxe in that one, and these are the Iconic Mini, and they're so good for an everyday look. So one thing that I do like to do when the lashes are slightly shorter is just use an eyelash curler and just go in and make sure that they are nice and secure, and just to give them like a little bit more lift at the root. So I'm almost at the end of my everyday makeup routine. I'll see if I've got any more questions that I can answer at the same time. So one of the other questions, you guys were asking a lot of questions about Joe. It's quite cute. So it's, what's your favourite thing about Joe? And I would say, I always say this to him, but I would say one of my favourite things is how much everyone else loves him. Like, my friends are all obsessed with him. All his friends are completely obsessed with him. When anyone new meets him, they are just like, he is the most amazing human. And that just makes me so happy, because obviously there's nothing better than when everyone else loves the person that you're with. Do you know what I mean? So that's 100% my favourite thing about him. It's just how much he makes everyone else feel so special. So lastly, to finish off my eyes, I'm just going to get the fluffy blending brush that we used for the crease. I'm just going to literally sweep a little bit under my eyes like that, just to get a little bit of colour. I'm just going to apply some mascara to my bottom lashes. I put like a really light layer. I don't really want too much, so I just kind of brush them really lightly, just so they're coated slightly but not too much. So I think we've got time for maybe 2 more questions. One of them was, if you weren't an influencer, what would you be doing? I don't know. I feel like, well, I probably would have been working in fashion PR because that was what I wanted to do. And I did love, at college, I absolutely loved the PR lessons. And I am a bit of a social bunny. Like, I love a chat. I like to think that I'm quite good at talking to people, having conversations, and I think that's quite important when you work in PR. So I think I would have been really good at that. And, you know, even when I do meet up with PRs now, because I still do work, obviously, with PRs, but on the flip side, it's kind of weird being on the other side of it. But they all love their jobs and they say how much fun it is. So I think that I would have really enjoyed to do it if I wasn't, you know, if my career didn't turn out the way that it did. So anyway, so moving on to lips. So I'm going to use the Morphe Sweet Tea liner here. And I'm not going to be able to talk while I do this. So I'm just going to line my lips. And then for lipstick, I'm going to use the Bare All Morphe lipstick. I am obsessed with this lip combo right now. I don't know why, but whenever I apply a lipstick, I always really like to use my finger to buff it in with. So that is basically everything done, I feel like. I don't think there's anything else that I need to do apart from set my face. I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty What It Do Face Mist. This one is actually amazing for refreshing your makeup during the day as well. It just makes it like come alive. So while we just got a couple more questions, I thought I would just finish off with just quickly doing my hair for like my easy go-to everyday hair that I do. So I'm gonna take this nice little barnet down and brush it through. This brush is from Beauty Works, by the way, and it is one of my favorite brushes for making your hair look really sleek and shiny. If you do any sort of like sleek looks, this brush you need to get. So one question that I got asked was if I could have one makeup product for the rest of my life and one only, what would it be? And I think the product would have to be a BB cream. And the BB cream that I would choose would be the Bali Body BB cream. I've spoken about this in my beauty faves a while ago, and it is just such a good BB cream. I feel like it might be in this bag down here. Yeah, it is. So this is it. This one here. Oh. This Bali Body one, I got it in shade tan, and it is just so good. So this is basically my absolute go-to hairstyle with short hair. If I need to get ready quickly and leave the house, it's just a really simple, easy kind of like look. You can leave it in a ponytail like this, or you can do it in a bun, which is what I'm gonna do. So I always finish a style off like this with the Mark Hill Taming Polish. This is amazing at keeping those flyaways down, but also it keeps it looking really like smooth and sleek. So I'm just gonna go, kind of just rub it between my hands, and then I just go like, I smooth it down. It's good because it's kind of like a gel, but you don't get that sort of like crispiness, and it does help to keep it like looking really nice and smooth. So I'm just gonna put the back bit of my hair into a bun, and for this, sorry, this is really so hard to show you. So I tie it over like that. I really hope that you guys can see this. And then you see this tail bit that's underneath. I basically just tuck it back through under my hair underneath. And then I just pin it down. So like really simple, and then it's just tucked up at the back. So you can't really see where the bottom bit is. So it's kind of like easy and hides it away. So I have answered all the questions that I can in the time it's taken me to do my everyday makeup. I really hope that you guys like the way I filmed this. I didn't want to just do a Q&A on its own because I didn't want it to be just boring and you guys just sat there listening to me chat about myself. So I hope that doing it with my everyday makeup was a good idea. Let me know below if you did like this kind of style of a question and answer kind of thing, and I can do some more chatty videos over the top of getting ready. It's a good test for my multitasking skills, I must say. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed watching and that you picked up some tips for your own everyday makeup. This is really quick and easy, especially when I'm not filming. I can honestly get it done in like 20 minutes. And the hair as well, be out of the house, ready to go. I hope that you're all keeping safe and well and staying home. Give the video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.